All right, welcome everybody to Nathan Reads the Bible podcast where I read the Bible. And this is the 6th podcast that I've put out on my channel so far, I believe. I have reached a magical number of 10 subscribers, and I can't even tell you how excited that is for me. Exciting that is for me. Thanks everybody that is subscribed or is watching, is checking this out for the first time. Thank you for the support that I'm feeling from my friends and my family. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I never thought that something like this would attract even 5 people. So 10 for me is like, woo, I hit double my goal. So, you know what? I learned something from Homer Simpson a long time ago. Aim low. Aim so low that nobody even will notice if you succeed. No, don't aim that low. Don't do that. And it wasn't Homer, the great thought mind from the Greek days. It was Homer from The Simpsons. So don't listen to what I just said. Aim high. Aim as high as you can. And if you miss your mark, readjust and go back at it. That's all you got to do. Readjust and go back at it. Find a new way. Find a different path. Find a new shortcut. Find a route around whatever it is that's in your path to get to where you want to go, because that's what you have to do in this world. I'm a veteran, and I have had to deal with the VA to get benefits and other different things since being in the military. And I'll tell you what, if you are not a persistent man, you are not going to get what you earned. That's all I have to say about that. Now I'm going to get into what we are reading today. It is going to be Genesis chapter 16 through Genesis chapter 22. It's going to cover a lot of ground. I will not be reading from the pamphlet that I have been following, because the pamphlet has gotten pretty far ahead of us at this point. So I would rather do some reading and catch up. Still working on the ums. Besides that, I can't think of anything else. Put out the video earlier about the giants in the Bible. Interesting topic. Always finding interesting topics. I hope the New Testament's as interesting as the Old Testament, which I think it might be. I don't know. It's just a guess. But I have a feeling. Anyways, this stuff's really interesting today, though. And the reason why I know that is because I made this podcast earlier and it didn't work because I didn't do a mic check first. And I set up my mic the wrong way, like a dingus. Yeah. So now we got things under control. Now we're going. And I had to pick a different area to film, but it's going to be all right because I'm getting the word out tonight. All right, so here we go. Genesis chapter 16, verse 1. Hagar and Ishmael. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian maidservant named Hagar. So she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my maidservant. Perhaps I can build a family through her." Abram agreed to what Sarai said. So after Abram had been living in Canaan 10 years, Sarai his wife took her Egyptian maidservant Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. He slept with Hagar and she conceived. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despite her mistress. Then Sarai said to Abram, "You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. I put my servant in your arms, and now that she knows she is pregnant, she despises me. May the Lord judge between you and me." "Your servant is in your hands," Abram said. "Do with her whatever you think best." Then Sarai mistreated Hagar. So Hagar fled from her. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road to Shur. And he said, Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going? I'm running away from the mistress Sarai, she said. Then the angel of the Lord told her, Go back to your mistress and submit to her. The angel added, I will so increase your descendants that they will be too numerous to count. The angel of the Lord also said to her, You are now with child, and you will have a son. You shall name him Ishmael. For the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. Love it. Wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him. And he will live in hostility toward all his brothers. What an interesting fella. I am real interested to see where this guy's story arc goes in the future here, because this is a wild donkey of a man. And that's a description from the Lord. Oh man, that's awesome. She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. You are the God who sees me. For she said, I have now seen the one who sees me. That is why the well has been called Bir Lahai Roi. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael. Chapter 17, the covenant of circumcision. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless. I will confirm my covenant between me and you and will greatly increase your numbers. I wanted to stop here. I did earlier when I falsely recorded this and talk about how, from a modern perspective, when I hear an angel tell somebody or the Lord tells somebody they will greatly increase their numbers, I don't think of a blessing, because I'm in this modern mindset where I see having a multitude of children as a burden. But back in these times, having a multitude of children was the way to go. Man, the more people you could have in your house, the more people you could have of your bloodline, of your name, it was a very, very good thing. So when these angels say your numbers will be, and you will greatly increase your numbers, or they say your numbers will be so many they will be impossible to count. It's not something that was scary to these people. It was something that was like, yes, that's exactly what I need to be prosperous in this world that I live in. So please, yes, give me a multitude of children. Give me as many as you can. And also one of the other things back in those days was that childbirth was very dangerous. So you probably had a lot of people who had miscarriages. And so even, making it through a childbirth back in this time period was probably a pretty big ordeal and a pretty special thing for the father and the mother. Just wanted to throw that in there. Because whenever I hear, and you will greatly increase your numbers, I think to myself, praying one day and having God tell me that and being like, Lord, please, I don't have. But that would be me being a small-minded individual who is not willing to listen to the Lord's plan. Because if the Lord has a plan for me to have multiples of numbers, then the Lord probably has a plan for me to be able to feed them. That's the Lord that I believe in. So there we go. Don't even know why I got up on that. Abram fell face down, and God said to him, As for me, this is my covenant with you. You will be the father of many nations. No longer will you be called Abram. Your name will be Abraham. For I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you very fruitful. I will make nations of you, and kings will come from you. I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after you for the generations to come, to be your God and the God of your descendants after you. The whole land of Canaan, where you are now an alien, I will give as an everlasting possession to you and your descendants after you, and I will be their God. Then God said to Abraham, As for you, you must keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you for the generations to come. This is my covenant with you and your descendants after you, the covenant you are to keep. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You are to undergo circumcision, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and you. For the generations to come, every male among you who is 8 days old must be circumcised, including those born in your household or bought with money from a foreigner, those who are not your offspring. I believe they are probably talking about slaves there. And that is another subject that I wanted to get to that I keep noticing in these lines. Those who are not your offspring, including those born in your household or bought with money from a foreigner. When you buy someone, that means you own them. So slavery is a reality in the Old Testament. And just like everything else back in those days, things were rough, man. Things were rough. There's nothing that makes any of it right. But like I said, we're reading history here. And sadly, slavery is part of the history of the world. It's a big part of it. And it still is going on to this day. There are humans in slavery to this day. Sexual slavery, all kinds of slavery. And it's an extremely sad reality that the world has to deal with. Okay. So, they must be circumcised. My covenant in your flesh is to be an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who has not been circumcised in the flesh will be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. God also said to Abraham, As for Sarai, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarai. Her name will be Sarah. I was thinking there was a Sarah in the Bible. I wasn't sure about that old pronunciation. I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. King of peoples will come from her. Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, Will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And Abraham said to God, If only Ishmael might live under your blessing. Then God said, Yes, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful and will greatly increase his numbers. He will be the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you by this time next year. When he had finished speaking with Abraham, God went up from him. On that very day, Abraham took his son Ishmael and all those born in his household or bought with his money, every male in his household, and circumcised them. As God told him, Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and his son Ishmael were both circumcised on that same day. And every male in Abraham's household, including those born in his household or bought from a foreigner, was circumcised with him. What a painful day. But, after that, they got them when they were babies, like what happens to many, many babies today, and babies don't remember being circumcised. Much better than having it happen at 99, I'll tell you that. I would imagine. Don't know what 99 feels like, but I know that if somebody tried to circumcise me at my age now, I wouldn't be too fond of the idea. Okay, so make his members covenant was that they consider God went from him. On that okay. The three visitors. Here we are. This is chapter 18, all right? I keep getting off on these tangents. I'm sorry, but the stuff comes to me, and I think it's interesting. The three visitors. Chapter 18, verse 1. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre, while he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Abraham looked up and saw three men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance to his tent to meet them, and bowed low to the ground. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat, so that you can be refreshed, and then go on your way, now that you have come to your servant." "Very well," they answered. "Do as you say." So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. "Quick," he said, "get 3 seahs of fine flour, and knead it, and bake some bread." Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice, tender calf, and gave it to a servant who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared, and set these before them. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked. "There in the tent," he said. Then the Lord said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already old and well advanced in years, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, "After I am worn out and my master is old, will I now have this pleasure?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord?" "I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, "I did not laugh." But he said, "Yes, you did laugh." God knows. Said it before, I'll say it again, probably many times. All right, Abraham pleads for Sodom. Here we are. This is Genesis 18, verse 16. When the men got up to leave, they looked down toward Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him, so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him." Then the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin so grievous, that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know." The men turned away and went towards Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, "Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right?" The Lord said, "If I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Then Abram spoke up again. "Now that I have been as bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what if the number of the righteous is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city because of 5 people? If I find 45 there," he said, "I will not destroy it." Once again he spoke to him. "What if only 40 are found there?" He said, "For the sake of 40, I will not do it." Then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak. What if only 30 can be found there?" He answered, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." Abraham said, "Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 can be found there?" He said, "For the sake of 20, I will not destroy it." Then he said, "May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found there?" He answered, "For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it." He had to find 10 good, righteous people in the city of Sodom, which I believe was a pretty big city back in those days. When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed. This is chapter 19. Before we get into this, you know what? I'm going to do some extra research on like how big Sodom was back in those days. So I can have some idea of a comparison to like a city now. Like how was it like the Chicago sized city? Was it a New York sized city in comparison? Because it just would give a little bit more. I'll do a little short video about a little more about the Sodom and Gomorrah that was destroyed, just because this is a very interesting topic. I mean, this is the only time I believe God destroys a town like this, but we're about to see. All right, here we go. Chapter 19, Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed. The 2 angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway to the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. "My lords," he said, "please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning." "No," they answered, "we will spend the night in the square." But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. So Lot invites the 2 angels to his house. He feeds them supper. They're about to go to bed, and every guy in town shows up banging on the door. And this is what they wanted. They called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them." Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, "No, my friends, don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof." he's trying to give up his 2 virgin daughters to this crowd. He's like, you can have these 2 virgin daughters. Don't mess with these guys. Please, just leave this alone. But these people will not stop. They said, get out of our way, they replied. And they said, this fellow came here as an alien and now he wants to play the judge. We'll treat you worse than them. They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door. But the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old, with blindness, so that they could not find the door. The 2 men said to Lot, do you have anyone else here, sons-in-law, sons or daughters, or anyone else in this city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry to the Lord against his people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who were pledged to marry his daughters. He said, hurry and get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city. But his sons-in-law thought he was joking. These people were so in love with this place. That's what this story shows. These people were so in love with this town and this sin that even his sons-in-law, who you would think they were about to marry his daughters, weren't down with all the other stuff going on, but they were happy there, so you know what I mean? It's crazy. With the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, hurry, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished. When he hesitated, the men grasped his hand and the hands of his wife and his 2 daughters and led them safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, flee for your lives. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be swept away. But Lot said to them, no, my lords, please. Your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life. But I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me, and I will die. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared. He said to him, very well, I will grant this request too. I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach it. That is why the town was called Zor. I'm going to have to look into that too, because I don't know what Zor means. By the time Lot reached Zor, the sun had risen over the land. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, including all those living in the cities, and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. They said, do not look back. But she did it anyway. So it turned out that only 3 righteous people made it out of the city of Sodom. Lot and his 2 daughters. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, toward all the land of the plain, and saw dense smoke rising from the land, like smoke from a furnace. So when God destroyed the cities of the plain, he remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe that overthrew the cities where Lot had lived. Lot and his daughters. Genesis 19, verse 30. Lot and his 2 daughters left Zor and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zor, and he and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. One day the older daughter said to the younger, our father is old, and there is no man around here to lie with us, as is the custom all over the earth. Let us get our father to drink wine, and then lie with him, and preserve our family line through our father. That night they got their father to drink wine. The older daughter went in and lay with him. He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. The next day the older daughter said to the younger, "Last night I lay with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and you go in and lie with him so we can preserve our family line through our father." So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went and lay with him. And he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So this guy, basically got raped by his daughters after they persuaded him to get drunk so they could carry on the family line. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites of today. The younger daughter also had a son, and she named him Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites of today. All right, chapter 20. Abraham and Abimelech. Now Abraham moved on from there into the region of the Negev and lived between Kadesh and Shur. For a while he stayed in Gerar. And there Abraham said of his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." Then Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent for Sarah and took her. But God came to Abimelech in a dream one night and said to him, "You are as good as dead because of the woman you have taken. She is a married woman." Now Abimelech had not gone near her. So he said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? Did he not say to me, 'She is my sister'? And didn't she also say, 'He is my brother'? I have done this with a clear conscience and clean hands." Then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know you did this with a clear conscience, and so I have kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. But if you do not return her, you may be sure that you and all yours will die." Early the next morning, Abimelech summoned all his officials, and when he told them all that had happened, they were very much afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham in and said, "What have you done to us? How have I wronged you that you have brought such great guilt upon me and my kingdom? You have done things to me that should not be done." And Abimelech asked Abraham, "What was your reason for doing this?" Abraham replied, "I said to myself, 'There is surely no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she really is my sister, the daughter of my father, though not of my mother, and she became my wife. And when God had me wander from my father's household, I said to her, "This is how you can show your love to me. Everywhere we go, say of me, 'He is my brother.'" Then Abimelech brought sheep and cattle, male and female slaves, and gave them to Abraham. And he returned Sarah his wife to him. And Abimelech said, "My land is before you. Live wherever you like." To Sarah he said, "I am giving your brother 1,000 shekels of silver. This is to cover the offense against you before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated." Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his slave girls, so they could have children again. For the Lord had closed up every womb in Abimelech's household because of Abraham's wife Sarah. Wow. That is some stuff. All right, chapter 21, the birth of Isaac. Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah, as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him, as God commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." And she added, Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. Hagar and Ishmael sent away. The child grew and was weaned. And on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham was mocking. And she said to Abraham, "Get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that slave woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac." The matter distressed Abraham greatly, because it concerned his son. But God said to him, "Do not be so distressed about the boy and your maidservant. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of your maidservant into a nation also, because he is your offspring." Early the next morning, Abraham took some food and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He set them on her shoulders and then sent her off with the boy. She went on her way and wandered in the desert of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went off and sat down nearby, about a bow shot away, for she thought, "I cannot watch the boy die." And as she sat there nearby, she began to sob. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, "What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation." Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt. The treaty at Beersheba. At that time, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, said to Abraham, "God is with you in everything you do. Now swear to me here before God that you will not deal falsely with me or my children or my descendants. Show to me and the country where you are living as an alien the same kindness I have shown you." Abraham said, "I swear it." Then Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well of water that Abimelech's servants had seized. But Abimelech said, "I don't know who has done this. You did not tell me, and I heard about it only today." So Abraham brought sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech. And the two men made a treaty. Abraham set apart 7 ewe lambs from the flock. And Abimelech asked Abraham, "What is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs you have set apart by themselves?" He replied, "Accept these 7 lambs from my hand as a witness that I dug this well." So that place was called Beersheba, because the two men swore an oath there. After the treaty had been made at Beersheba, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his forces, returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called upon the name of the Lord, the eternal God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for a long time. All right. That is Genesis 16, chapter 16 through 21. We will be doing chapter 22 tomorrow. Abraham will be tested, it appears. That should be interesting. In the meantime, I'm going to do a little bit of research on how big Sodom and Gomorrah really was, to just kind of, talk about what a big deal it was blowing that place up. There's been history shows about that area that I've watched, and it said that the ground there is very much like the ground in a place after a nuclear weapon has gone off. So that place was eradicated. Full up. Full on. Boom. I guess that's what happens when things get so bad and out of control, the two men can't even just show up and have a night of peace. But anyways, on the note of peace, I would like to wish you all a peaceful, wonderful, blessings-filled night and a great day tomorrow. I'm going to close this out with a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for everything that you have given me. I thank you for this podcast, Lord. I thank you for letting me be able to make it, and I hope that it is a light in this world, Lord. I pray every day to reach just one person, Lord. If this just reaches one person a day, it will be a success. Thank you, God, for the subscribers that have already decided this is an interesting thing to watch. Thank you for everything that you have given me throughout my life. All the extra chances you have given me when I have been so wrong so many times, Lord. And that same forgiveness is there for everyone in this world, Lord, through you. And I pray that this show helps shine that light. Thank you, Lord, for giving me the time to share this with everybody. And I pray blessings upon the people of the entire world tonight, Lord. I pray for as much peace as is possible in this world, Lord. I pray for peace. God, please. And I'm just going to close this out. Thank you for being up there for us all. In your name, amen. Thank you for watching tonight, and I hope this was fun. See you next time.